Ready for metal?
Yeah. Clicking live.
Clicking live, clicking live, clicking live, clicking live, clicking live, clicking live. Hello everyone, are you there? Come in, Dave Merkel, Leslie Pugh. How are you? Delvin, Dave, Mark, Clint, Tom. We are live. Yes, we had a little cableage issue, I think, and in all the best scenarios, had a bad cable replaced with a bad cable. So it was like a double whammy. So the way we have it set up is we've got for those of you, there's a few people on here that have been here for masterclasses. So this is the control room, and in there is the live room, and actually there's cables running into the live room where Eric is now sitting, and I think somebody or some people have trodden on it. Anyway, and broken a cable, and then the one we replaced it was broken as well, but not actually the really, really beautiful, expensive ones. So I suppose that's, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing that the beautiful, expensive ones aren't broken, because it means that's why you spend a lot of money on good cables. They don't break as easily. And secondly, it's also good because if it was an expensive one that was broken, it would be expensive to replace. So double whammy. Anyway, how are you all? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be at this lovely people, where these lovely people may be. Two bad cables don't make a good cable? No, not at all. I get shortwave on wireless sometimes. Is that a good thing? Yeah, I mean, we all get that. And my other studio, we've had all kinds of grounding issues and had to address that. There's always something, you know, you have to invest in or improve or whatever kind of fun things. Anyway, I've got my PRS here, and I'm ready to rock. Mark Beeson, Kevin, Tom, Blue Wave Dave, Chris, Dave, Todd, Delvin, Nate, Kevin, hello, Matty, Paul, Chris, Jörg, DJ, Kuroji, Daniel, Leslie, Mark, Country T, Andy, Dave Merkel, Darko, Aaron, Clint, Arthur, Devon, Mark, I'm trying to make sure I get everybody. Mark Peacock, Mark Bath, Mitchelly Music, hello there. Always great to see your comments, they're always fantastic. Sergio, hello Sergio. Mark with the C, Becca, hello. Hey Sheila, I'm trying to see if I've... Devin and Delvin, I think I've got both of you. I think I've got everybody. If I haven't said hello to you, please say hello to me now. Michael. Hello, Michael. How are you? Jimmy. This is fun. So we're back to doing Everybody Knows. We have a new multi-track coming out next week for those of you that are interested. Eric did put up some stuff this week with Glenn, just talking about the bridging of the amps and stuff like that. But you may have noticed we set up a new forum link. So can I see it? See if I can find it on my phone. How about that? If it can be found on a phone, it can be found anywhere. He says, trying to figure out how to make his phone work properly. My phone is having a fit. Isn't that what they do? Okay. So, can I log in on my phone? Have I ever tried to log in on my phone? Yeah, of course I have. I answer questions on my phone all the time. Amazing how I forget these things. Okay. I would have to do this now, wouldn't I? I have to say, I'm going to log in on my phone. And knowing my luck, I won't be able to log in on my phone. What is up with my phone? It's having a fit. Anyway, so if you go to the home page, you'll see that we have a new post area where we are putting up. Here we go. So can you see this in the camera? I can't see what you can see yet because it's a 10-second delay. Yeah. So downloads, obviously these are all the sheets and everything. You know what that is. There's the full courses. These are courses that Courses we've either done specifically for Produce Like a Pro, or we're adding from ProMix Academy. There's the forum, of course, here. There's the news feed, which is just, you know, when people are commenting, you can see what's going on. Lessons, the Facebook group, Feedback Friday, which is what this is in the month. Now, there's multi-tracks, interviews, exclusive deals. That's going to expand soon. Don't worry, more stuff coming. Interviews, but best still is now we have member uploads. And so far we've got, Chaz's multi-track up with a video. We have London Lauren Locked Up, remixed by Toby. And we have Caden Cashmere. However, there is lots more coming. So as we were talking about, well, we've been talking about it now for several months. I've been talking about it for a long time. But this is like stage 2 of the master plan, really. And, you know, every month we put a multi-track in. Sometimes we do 2. I'll do acoustic ones. Maybe we'll do that this month, take an acoustic song that people can do. Actually, let's do that. Let's do an acoustic song this month as well. So we're going to do an acoustic song I'll find an artist. It may be David again, may not be, might be somebody else. Do an acoustic song, and you can do you know, remixes to it. You can do your own production work to it. That's all really, really good. And then those multi-tracks, you know, we can put up those multi-tracks, and people can mix each other's stuff. But what I loved about the conversation we've been having over the last few months is, like, there's so many people here, as we know, every single month, every day, that help each other out. And this is like a massive extension now, where we get to use each other's multi-tracks of all the different styles of recording and production out there, and get to work with it and either add a production or mix or all of the above. So it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, which is why, frankly, we're growing really rapidly. I don't know if you've been noticing, but there's a lot of new people joining. A lot of new people joining, so that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's because this community is freaking awesome. And are you making coffee, Eric?
Oh, I'm not.
And Eric's making coffee. So I've had my 3 cups of PG Tips today, but my daughter, I went to bed at 1:30, I worked at 1:30, and my daughter woke up at 2, so I need a little coffee to add to the PG. Anyway, so it's a massive extension of what we do. There's only a few multi-tracks up at the moment, but they're all coming up soon. The only thing I would ask, if possible, and I don't want to put this on you if it's a lot of work, but if you can, try to do a video breakdown of the multi-tracks that we're putting up in the Academy. Just because, even if it's talking about the production, there's 2 reasons. First of all, it helps people because they will understand a little bit about what you're doing, your production ideas, your remixing ideas, what plugins you're using, your decisions you've made, the DAW you use. All of this stuff is really, really helpful. But better still, it's a way of getting to know each other. It really is. You know how you watch me on YouTube, and now we have live interaction, and we all get to meet each other at NAMM, at AES. You know, I'm always wherever we go. Summer NAMM, Winter NAMM, Super Booth in Germany. I met a lot of you there. The masterclasses we do at Sunset, here in Germany at Hansa, in Nashville at Blackbird. All of these are amazing opportunities for us to interact. And they're absolutely incredible. Now add to that the next layer of the interaction inside of the site, where you're all talking to each other, but also the fact that you can now watch videos of each other, like, you know, explaining. It's pretty fantastic. And I noticed a lot of you have started YouTube channels. That's amazing. Let's all support each other. There's no competition here, 0 competitiveness here. So if you start a YouTube channel, go watch it. Go watch what people do. I mean, it's fantastic. You know, comment on each other's stuff. I love it when I see Academy members commenting on our videos. It's amazing. But do the same with each other as well. I know in the Facebook group, which I know about less than half the people are in, because not everybody uses Facebook, which is totally understandable. I know people that are diametrically opposed to Facebook, and then other people that just aren't interested in social media in that kind of level, all of which is fine. So if you're just here now to do this, that's amazing. No judgment. I think everybody has a level of comfortability of putting themselves out there, and there's plenty of people that are very successful that have almost no social media. Do I think social media is important? I think it's an amazing tool to grow your brand, but it's not a necessity if you happen to be really talented and you know how to work other avenues. But do I think I would suggest it? Yes. I personally can't survive without it. We created this through social media. But again, there's lots of people in here that aren't doing a lot of Facebook stuff. So that's the reason why we keep things in the forum, so it's accessible to everybody. This is amazing. So support each other. I know we've done a few drives on the Facebook group to introduce each other's Instagram, introduce everybody's Facebooks, etc., Twitter, which is not as effective, just so you know. But, you know, all of these things are definitely really, really good. And once again, if you do a YouTube channel, support each other. Go to it. Okay, great. Matthew says, got to head in the office. Have a great day. Happy Feedback Friday. I'm short of you tonight. By the way, have a great weekend. Thank you. They asked, but if we really told them, they would freak. I don't know what that is. Sorry, I'm in the middle of conversations here. Anyway, let's get started. New multi-tracks coming up next week. Please, if you've got multi-tracks you want to share for other people to mix and do additional production on, please send them to Eric at Produce Like a Pro. Eric with a C, not a K, at Produce Like a Pro. If you can give us the name of the song, obviously, the artist, the key, if you know it, the tempo, any pertinent information you can think of. And Piper Payne is calling. Would you mind answering this phone for me? I'm doing a panel with Piper on the weekend, so Eric, if you could just take that. And tell her I'll call her back. So fantastic. Very excited. And we are going to listen to the first one, which is from Ralph Tyra. The Gallery, White Noise Town. Oh, and that's the other thing. Feel free. I mean, obviously, it's nice when we all focus on this month's multi-tracks, but there's plenty of new people coming in that are cherry-picking songs that they feel like can help them grow or can showcase their talent. So that's quite all right. And we do try to scour back and find some, like Eric has done here with Ralph. So I'm going to pull this down just a little bit because it seems quite loud, and we'll take it from there. So here's Ralph Tyra's. Let's go to the chat. And Ralph says, hi Academy members, I had a blast this weekend mixing this great song. The tracks are well recorded and arrangement is great. We'll now have to do a lot to come up with a mix that is at least decent. If you mix this song, make sure you fix a nasty click around bar 25.2 if I remember quickly in the left acoustic track, otherwise you'll regret it engaging your limiter for pseudo mastering. How's Pipe? Is she good? She just wanted to talk about her chat?
Yeah, just wanted to check in and have a talk between you, her, and
Pete Lyman.
Pete. And
great. Here we go. The Gallery, White Noise Town from Ralph Tyra.
Bring me back to the days of temporary tattoos and scraped knees. I'm lost
Really great, Ralph. Really, really good. Very impressed indeed. I love this. So I feel like I want to hear, and this is very typical, I want to hear a little bit more low-lows on the kick. I feel like the kick is loud, but it may not necessarily need to be as loud if there was a little bit more low-lows on it. I'm hearing it's pretty darn good. There's just a little bit of separation I need. It's interesting because one of the beauties of really good mixing that Ralph's doing here, and he's doing great work, is the ability to things to just blend together just enough so that the parts add to a whole. It's one of the mistakes I made when I first started mixing was to spend absolutely hours sculpting everything so perfectly that you could hear everything individually. Now you might say, what do you mean, Warren? That makes no sense. Well, one of the beauties about having like an SSL console, or these days plugins that have, you know, absolute finite control, is the beauties of it is you can get in there and sculpt. One of the disadvantages is you can get in there and sculpt. And so what can happen, and happened to me a lot when I first started, is I would go in there and I would like separate everything out perfectly so that it just sounded like a bunch of parts and nothing kind of glued together. I think Ralph has got the glue together really well. Really, really well. I'd love to know, Ralph, if you were using, you know, any kind of saturation plugins or what compression you were using, because the glue is really good. It's really, really good. I just think I would back it off about 10%, because if I go to, say, the second verse, for instance.
With my father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same.
All right, so that, I want to hear that riff up.
Father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same. Yeah, what the want ain't what I need.
And then that kind of part comes in. They have a place in there, but they feel like they're just a little blended, like really beautifully, don't get me wrong, but I want to hear a little bit more point. A little blink, 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 blink. And that da-da-da-da-da-da could come up a little bit, but it's also kind of an EQ, like just a little bit more mids on it, just that gnats, just so they stick their head up a little bit. Have a listen again.
Father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same. Yeah, what the want ain't what I need. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. In this white noise town. No one hears her. Yeah, I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting all my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound.
Yeah, the low end between the kick and the bass is almost perfect. It's like 95% of the way there. It's really good. This is one of the best ones. With the kick, it's like, it's just as a crossover point between the bass. I think, again, it's the same thing. It's like, I love the low end. It's actually really, really good. There's just points where I can't quite differentiate it. I want it. I love the fact that Ralph has got this glued together. This is next level stuff. This is really, really good. I like it glued together. I just want a tiny little less glue in there. I want just the bass guitar to just sing out a little bit on its own. But one thing I will say, which is fantastic about Ralph's mix, and it'd be lovely to have him explain this, it does feel like he's going to create this to be like a tape mix. It's got a very, very nice feel on it in that area. It's really beautiful.
Father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same. Yeah, what the want ain't what I need. Can anybody
What it is it's a bus compression thing. So it's interesting we're getting so finite, but this is cool. We're getting so finite in detail because the mix is great. But you hear like on the downbeats of the choruses, when the guitars come in and grang, they're loud, the low end disappears because the compression, it's sitting above and it's compressing really aggressively. Have a listen. Like that low end there is fantastic. Listen.
Get what the want, ain't what I need. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause
Low end disappeared on that downbeat. And I want to hear. So it's getting that bass guitar. It's actually, it might be pushing that bass along with the kick. Just subtle things, automation, subtle automation.
Hear my screams, 'cause I've been yelling at
That it comes back in there. I want to hear that but it's really good. Great mix, subtle stuff, bringing up those little parts. I think it's EQ. I think it's about giving it a bit of mid-range on those little guitar parts, and then just doing some detail work on the low end just to get the bass guitar and the kick there. Like I said, it's about 95% of the way there. When I was initially feeling the lack of low end, it was like just in sections. It's not everywhere. A lot of the places, the low end on the kick and the bass is absolutely perfect. I just want a bit more definition on the bass. Just a little bit more high mids, just a little, so I can hear the part a little bit more mid-range on those guitars, just they just poke out a little bit, and then some automation on the kick and the bass in like areas like we just pinpointed there where the low end seems to disappear a bit. Otherwise, really, really great mix. And I love that we can get into details. When we get into details like that, it means that Ralph has done an amazing job. Great work. And it's fun to be able to talk on this sort of next level stuff. Great mixes like this really help us do that. Next up is Richard Clark. Richard says, here's my mix of Little Empire's Stronger. Makes a track fun to mix. Has distinction transition like this, even though it's not really my kind of music I usually listen to. Stuck in my head, I think it's a great pop song. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of their stuff. Great, we have quite a few of those. My previous mixes have suffered from me hitting the master bus a little too hard, and I've tried to avoid my master bus compression on this mix. It's not my strong point, I figured it can be done later. So this mix does miss a little bit of that in-your-face feeling which you wanted a track like this. I did use an SSL bus compressor on the master bus, but just a default setting of +3 on the out and not doing no gain reduction at all. I just like how it seems to round the sound so I left it on. I wanted to figure out ways of adding more excitement to the mix. Sometimes I felt like it could be short for this style of music, so a little short for this style of music. So I'm very open to suggestions, and as usual, any feedback is gratefully received. Okay, excited to hear it. Richard Clark.
If you wanna leave, there's a cab downstairs. If you wanna go, baby, I don't care. If you wanna fly, then here, take my wings. Go up in the sky, sky, sky. Lately, your lips have made me go crazy. Baby, I don't need your heart. Lately, your lips have made me go crazy. Baby, I don't need your heart.
Bravo, Richard. Absolutely fantastic. Hey, pour me a cup of coffee, please, young Eric. Go Team Eric. Go Team Eric Coffee. Oh, well. Hey, it's really good. Really, really great mix. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I love in the choruses. This section part here.
'Cause I'm stronger, stronger, stronger. 'Cause I'm stronger, stronger, stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Stronger, stronger, stronger. Get out.
I love that. I don't remember playing that. So I can't. Did you add it, or did you just rebalance the mix for it? Because it's really, really smart. I don't remember doing that. I mean, it's been a while since I produced this track, and I wrote it as well, obviously, with the singer. But yeah, I don't remember that part. It's really amazing. Really, really amazing. It really helps the mix move along. Now, I do think that there's some clarity. There's a discussion here going on about the low end. There's some clarity, I think, between the bass and the kick that needs to be done, but it's really subtle. It does feel like the bass is a good tone, but I think the bass is really the secret. It is getting that, thank you, Eric, is getting that mid-range. I'm so excited to have this cup of coffee after 3 hours sleep. Well, 4 hours. I'm getting on a plane this afternoon to go to San Francisco. To talk at Music Expo. For anybody in San Francisco this weekend, come and see us at Expressions College. Okay, so yeah, I love the way that this sounds, but as everybody's pointing out, it's a bass issue. And it's subtle, but yes, the bass could do with a little bit of tightening on the high pass because it's a little bit something going on down there. So just tighten that high pass, maybe high pass up as high as 60 if you haven't already, but doesn't have to be like a brick wall, but just something gentle, get it out of the way, the kick a little bit. If you feel like the kick's a little flobby, maybe just tighten it up, go to 20 and just take it out. Because, you know, 40 is where you get the real low lows that we love. 20 starts to just make systems, you know, crap out and just sound low and rumbly and will not work on a PA. The other thing is people are pointing out, and I would agree with, is just a little bit more definition on the bass so that you know it's playing. Have a listen.
Stronger, stronger, stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Stronger, stronger, stronger. Get out, get out, get out.
Do I ever go up to Seattle, Mark? Sometimes. It's been a little while, but I love Seattle. So you can hear moments that it just blows out. The low end gets a little inconsistent.
Stronger, stronger.
You hear it?
Stronger, stronger, stronger. Get out, get out, get out. Stronger.
It's like, woo. Like on those downbeats there, it gets a little out of control. And in general, it could just do with some tightening. So a bit more mid-range, a bit more grit on it, you know, 3 to 5K, just a little bit. 3 I always kind of like on a bass, to be honest. Just a little 3K. There's not, that's like for electric guitars, I usually dip about 2-ish, and that usually pulls down some 3, and then 3 to 5K above, I start brightening a little bit on electrics, generally, depending on the genre. So I feel like 3K on a bass is an area you can just push a little bit. You know, I like the glassiness of 2K sometimes on a vocal, lightly. So I try to avoid boosting too much of that in any other area except slightly on a vocal. Slightly, like slightly. You put too much 2K on anything, it's horrible. But a little bit of 3 on that could help. And then it's that nosiness of the bass, that kind of ugliness around there. That can be 350, which is ugly in every instrument except for bass guitar. A little bit 350, 750, 850 is nice, 1K and 1.5. These are all areas that are really nice to just tuck up like a dB or 2 here, just to get a little bit more solid kind of piano-ness out of it. So a bit of 3K and going to those areas I think would completely change it. Otherwise, it's a pretty freaking amazing mix. The vocal sometimes is on the border of just being a little low. It's never quiet, it's never lost. It's just, Eric, Ching is arriving, just make sure he navigates that. Yeah. So there is, it never gets lost. It just feels like it could just sit a little bit up. So what I would do, Richard, is just go back and listen to it, you know, at low level and do some light automation in the vocal so it just sits above. Can you shut the doors properly? Right. So that was great. Fantastic work. Subtle stuff, great talking points. I'm glad everybody was on the same page. Always really, really good. Oh yeah, Kevin, yes, notification, we have a new, hey Chaz, we have a new video up, so feel free, as ever, to come in and to go and watch the video. You can come back to this one, or please, I love it when Academy people comment on YouTube videos, because I just know that you're educated and you're also good and positive and know how to support each other. All right, next up, great work, Richard. Next up is Christian Gilman. Christian says, here's my mix of White Noise Time by The Gallery. Wonderful song, a joy to mix. Any feedback is welcome. Oh, well, it's already downloaded. Here we go. This month's multi-track. It's been great doing this every week. Listening to the versions of this song have been really, really wonderful.
Bring me back to the days of temporary tattoos and scraped knees. I'm lost in a dream. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. I was born with my father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same. Get what they want, ain't what I need. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. In this white noise town. No one hears her. Yeah, I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. Bring me back to the days of temporary tattoos and scraped knees.
Really good. Really, really good, Christian. Thank you ever so much. Yeah, so you probably can hear what I'm saying. It's like the bass isn't like super boomy all of the time. It's just got that thing where, you know, it's got like there's one note that's kind of overtaking a little bit, and then it's really, really nice. Like, I do like the toms as well, as Mark's saying, but there's a couple of times the toms are just like, wow, they could just come down like half or a dB. And then otherwise, I just feel like the backgrounds when they first came in sort of dominated the mix. I would just tuck them in a little bit. So it's a really, really great mix. So just see if you can figure out what those boomy notes are on the bass. Tuck the BVs down a little bit, especially in the first chorus where they come in a little bit like, whoa, what happened there? And those are the main things for me. And then the toms, maybe that first time round, that first fill, adjust a little bit. You can allow, like some of the decisions that you made early on actually work later on. The slightly loud toms, the slightly loud backgrounds, they don't sound like out untoward then, but maybe at first just tuck them in. It's a little bit more of a safety level, allowing the song to grow. Otherwise, I think the main focus should just be on finding where the bass just gets a little, and it's only subtle, but a little bit carried away, a little boomy in a couple of places. Again, it's like listening with fresh ears, getting the dynamic EQ out, using a multi-band, and just finding that occasional like note that gets a bit carried away. Otherwise, fantastic mix. Christian always does really, really great work. But I love being able to talk about this detail, because I feel like when we get mixes at this high level and they just need detail work, it really helps everybody else out, because they're like, makes us all readdress things and think about things. Think about, like, you know, wolf tones, as they like to get called on basses, you know, like, because every bass has an issue. I've played, I would say my most even bass is the Yamaha, the $600 BB I have, is one of the most even basses I own. Actually, probably the PVT-40 is the most even. It's almost emotionless. It just kind of goes... It's very even, and you can get one for about $300 or $400. PVT-40, a wonderful bass. No personality, but really good in the mix. But otherwise, most basses I have, jazz basses, precision basses, they all have either dead notes or excessive notes. They're great, and they have personality. I love jazz basses. I love precisions. They have so much personality. But, yeah. It's absolutely wonderful. Wonderful mix. Moving on. Great work. Just work on those dynamics of that bass and low-end dynamics, and I think you'll be in a great shape. Next up is Sergio. Hey guys, here's my remix for this great song. I added my drums, toms, loops, percussions. Yay, lots of fun. Also shifted the beat, making it a little reggae-ish. Excited to hear what you did. Please let me know. We will. Christina Hamilton. If everybody knows.
People that surround me, we all really just wanna be free. Oh, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that this is how it's supposed to be. And everybody knows it's all about the history. And all the people that came before me, they all really just want to be free. Oh, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows it's all about the children. And everybody knows it's all about the vision to make a better world for everyone, so we can come together as one. Oh, everybody knows. 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 Everyb Everybody knows, everybody knows, everybody knows, everybody knows, everybody
Go Sergio, go Sergio, go Sergio. Really freaking awesome. Yep, really, really good. I'm going to be an A&R guy. So because I think, you know, every week I say this, I'm going to repeat it. It's called Produce Like a Pro. It's not mixed like a pro, it's not remixed like a pro, it's basically like the whole. We're looking at this from the whole. One of the things I felt when we first started this was just to get away from these endless mixing conversations. So, why am I saying this? Sergio is doing this. He's taken it to the next level. Absolutely fantastic, like really, really super creative. When that bass came in so loud and proud and fat and full, loved it. Had absolutely no problems. If you ever listen to Sly and Robbie and you grew up on that stuff, like many of us did from Europe and particularly the UK, we grew up on Handsworth Revolution, Steel Pulse. You know, Bob Marley was massive when I was younger, massive. I mean, late 70s, early 80s, everywhere. When he died in 81, I believe, I mean, it was like national mourning. Could not have been a bigger star over there. So I absolutely love this. So everything about it, I could finish there, go, wonderful, great creativity. Now, A&R guy Warren says, wow, that ending's amazing. You need to make the front half of the song as interesting. For me, I missed the djembe for the longest time until the drums came in. So, my question is, and this is the A&R guy speaking, can you give me both? Can you give me the feel of the djembe and then go to the big reggae out? I think the A&R guy would say that. He would be like, oh, this is cool. I like it. It's better. The second half of the song is better than the second half of the original. But I prefer the first half of the original. Can you give me a version that has both? That, to me, I think would take it over the top. It's not to say it's not amazing. As a piece of art, it's incredible. Second half of the song is better than my second half of the song. Hats off. You improved it. You took it to a new level. Maybe you can give me both. Maybe you can give me like a tamed djembe version at the beginning that still has a bit more going on in it, a bit more of that. And then when the second comes in, it's like right up there. And as DJ's saying, more cowbell. Yeah, absolutely amazing work. My mic fell off?
Yep.
Oh.
I was like, what's strumming on the guitar?
Oh, sorry everybody. Okay, back on. Really, really good. Sergio, I mean, this is the kind of stuff. Now, we talk about like remix versions. This would be amazing. And again, I'm not trying to put this on you too much, but this would be amazing to have your multi-tracks for this song available with a breakdown of how you did it as well. Again, up to everybody if they want to do this, but Sergio, this is a great contender for that. Just understanding how this was done would be absolutely amazing. And that goes for anybody, you know, being able to share this stuff is incredible. Sergio, wonderful work. Really, really blessed. Djembe, yeah, DJ, it's D-J-E-M-B-E, djembe. There's a D in front of it first. Okay, the guy that plays for, I can't remember his name. He plays for Dave Matthews. First told me about it, yeah. Okay, great, great work. You rock, and we are going to go to the next one. Okie dokie, next one is, and by the way, are you preparing your joke, Eric?
Oh, shoot. I should.
He said he's preparing his joke. Next up, hello Warren and Eric and all the plappers. This is Jimmy Panatus. Take a look, here's my take of Back When We Were We by Pete Morose. Fantastic. There's some terrible noise in the overheads channel, so I have the channel less important than I normally would do to use the different mics instead and delay the tambourine to make some movement. Okay, fantastic. Here we go. Jimmy Panatus, Back When We Were We.
Back when love was born, like children playing in the storm, clouds rolling one by one. Back when we were born, slept alone with your photographs and your epitaph. back when we were we.
Jimmy, great work. I really, really like it. I think the main thing is I would put a dynamic EQ or something on the vocal. There's some mid-range in Pete's voice where it gets a little aggressive, and sometimes it sort of takes me back. So I'd run some dynamic EQ on his vocal there. See if you can identify some of that like pure mid. It's about 7-ish. That's like really kind of getting me sometimes. Definitely. 700. Definitely, run dynamic EQ on that. Otherwise, I think I love the mix. What I went for, and what a couple of other people have done even more than I did actually in earlier mixes, is White Album. The song is about, Pete wrote it. I wrote the bridge. I wrote the bridge to the song, but the rest of it Pete wrote about John Lennon and Paul McCartney meeting up. And the whole idea is they're like talking about like getting back together. So it's supposed to be that sort of Beatle-y kind of sound. So the only thing I would go for more of like a tubby snare, like a bigger, tubbier snare, and a flatter kind of like thumpy kind of kick. There's been a couple of people who've mixed this, so if you go in and have a listen to other mixes, you'll hear other ideas. I think, bless you. Otherwise, I think it's really, really nice mix. It's just that vocal popping in and out that's a little bit too much for me. And it's just some mid-range on it. Again, I would go for dynamic EQ and see if you can solve that problem. Let me have a quick listen to another section.
The songs we wrote back when we were we in sweet harmony.
I mean, it's just like sweet harmony. It's like, well, it's just a little bit. It could do with a tiny bit more taming. I think dynamic EQ and maybe just a little tiny bit more compression over the very top of it, just to tame it and just to bring up some of the other things. It's like vocal jumps up a little bit mid-rangey and then comes down, and I want it to be a little louder and then just comes down. It's just subtle stuff.
The songs we wrote back when we sweet harmony. I remember last September, back when we were
I mean, it's a pretty fantastic mix. I love hearing the tonality of the snare. The bottom snare is really, really beautiful. I think I just want just a little bit more tub out of it, a bit more oomph out of it. Otherwise, pretty fantastic. I think you have the kicks in the right direction. And overall, everything kind of just glues together in a really nice way. So I'd love to know what you use for the gluing process. Whether it's saturation specifically or saturation from the compression plugins or the tape emulations or whatever it is. Because everything you use that has an analog-y sound is going to add that little bit. So really, really great work. For me, it's like the main thing to address would be a little bit more tub on the snare, just a bit for me. And getting that vocal to sit a bit more evenly. There's a lot of people who tell me, who comment on videos on YouTube in particular and say, oh yeah, they never use that much compression. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. When stuff was printed to tape, and I've got multi-tracks that I print back into digital, it's like a vocal's like a blob. I mean, first of all, it was compressed super hard going on the way in. Then it hit tape and then had more compression. And then when they mixed, they would apply more compression. So don't be afraid when you're trying to emulate something from the 60s and the 70s to use a lot of compression. There's very few records that were done with little compression. I mean, probably the most famous of it is Dark Side of the Moon, where there's not a lot of compression going on, at least in the way that we would initially think. It's less compressed and more about volume rides. I mean, it's very famous, that they spend a lot of time riding faders to tape. But otherwise, don't be afraid to compress. Clint says, there's definitely no tea towels here, just beach towels. Otherwise, great work, Jimmy. Thank you ever so much. Next up is Dirk Former. And I don't remember hearing any of Dirk's stuff before, so if you're new or I've missed you before, I apologise. I'm very excited to hear it. Dirk says, my mix of this great song. I worked with the snare from the kit, not the sample. Great. Listen to Tom Petty and voila. Let me know what you think. Well, definitely was a huge influence on what we were doing, so great reference point. Here we go.
Tattoos and scraped knees. I'm lost in a dream. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting all my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. My father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same. Get what they want, ain't what I need. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting all my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. In this white noise town. No one hears us. I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting all my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise sound. Bring me back to the days, the temporary tattoos and scraped knees.
Wow. You know what this reminds me of, Dirk? Dave Sardi mix. Very Dave Sardi. You know, I did 3 albums with Dave. I did all the pre-production with Jet for 2 weeks. I demoed a whole album. Actually have it's sitting on a hard drive there, all of the original tracks on Jet. I did The Thrills, which was amazing. I have a platinum record for that somewhere over there, hiding down below, where nobody can see it. Saying to Eric, I was like, we have these records you can't see. So I did a lot of records with him, and I also did Hot Hot Heat, and then I produced some bands. When he was too busy, I would produce some bands that he couldn't work with. And this has that feel, because what Dave would do is he would use the Chandler, the TG, which is the one, is it TG1? And we would do this parallel on the drums, which is what I feel like you've done here. Now, whether you've done that or not, but it reminds me of what we would do.
I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting all my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise sound.
So I got to sneeze, sorry. Excuse me. Hopefully I didn't deafen everybody with my sneeze. But so I really like it, but maybe I just need a bit more. Keep the going on, but give me some more direct kick and snare, because there's times when the snare's just like buried in there. I mean, I like it. If you listen to like Wolfmother and all those kind of stuff, it definitely has that same flavor of like a parallel compressed kind of energy from the drums, which I really, really like. And the only other thing is like I'm missing the lows on the kick, but I'm hearing a ton on the bass. So a little bit, just high pass the bass ever so slightly stronger, just a little, whatever that angle is, just maybe make it a little steeper. And then a little bit more lows on the kick, just a shade. Bit more direct snare, a bit more direct kick, you know, with the parallel down a little bit. And just, thank you for the bless yous. And I think you're pretty darn close. But what I do love about it, oh yeah, and just that, that gets a little lost. That needs to come up, that riff. What I do love about it is the overall sound. And that's one thing we have to get into, is like, I don't always want to be talking about details as much, but to remember the overall sound of this mix, of Dirk's mix, is really good, and it's very Dave Sardy and very exciting. So good work. Great work, Dirk. All right, next up is Andy Tullis, otherwise known as Country T. I've been working on this for a while. Hopefully I did the song justice. Steve and his mates are awesome musicians. Great song. Excited to hear. So next up is Andy Tullis. I think I'm playing on this, so I'm one of his mates.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven. We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry come and go around once more. And know you're so insatiable, so take me down again. Moaning, screaming, don't pretend. When I hear my name, through gritted teeth and a heavy breath. Just lose yourself with me and you, and tell me what you wanna do, and we'll dance along the satin till the morning. Heaven knows you're what I need, and I can only hope that what you see is you and me, and never letting go. I'm gonna tear you down so hard, you're gonna be calling out for God, and he's gonna let you know he's looking down, and just keep going. Take me down again, moaning, screaming, don't pretend. Wanna hear my name, the gritted teeth and the heavy breath. Lose yourself with me and you, and tell me what you wanna do. We'll dance along the satin till the morning. Yeah. Whoa. Just but in shadow you advance across the room of failed addiction, and you've got me jonesing harder now. So take me down again, moaning, screaming, don't pretend. Wanna hear my name, the gritted teeth and a heavy breath. Whoa, lose yourself with me and you, yeah, and tell me what you wanna do, and we'll dance. We'll dance.
Andy, I love it. I love it. Somebody said I was falling asleep because I'm sitting there like, you know, grooving away. No, I love it. Overall, though, it's dark. It's quite dark in every element. Initially, you hear the drums and you miss a little bit of the bite, like a 7K on the top end of the snare. I missed that. But then I'm listening to the bass, and I wanted a little bit more like gritty high mids on the bass. And then the vocal needed a little air, like the 10 to 12 kind of area. I was missing it. So I started to realize, like, on the whole, it sounds a little darker by choice. So I wanted to know, is this an overall master bus thing? I suppose what it is your room very, very bright? So maybe you're controlling, you know, the overall high end in general. I don't know if there's much to bring out, but let's have a quick look. Let me find an EQ here. I'm just going to go for something generic like a REQ, and I'm literally just going to go like 8K and above, maybe a little higher, and listen.
Touch my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven. We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry come and go round once more. And know you're so insatiable, so take me down again. Don't pretend. When I hear my name, your gritted teeth and a heavy breath.
See, I don't think it's individual. Thank you, Tom. I don't think it's individual elements. I think it's an overall thing. Oh, so mixing in headphones. Well, okay. Well, so what headphones are you using? Because what I'm trying to say is, I think, is the balance is there. I mean, I think now that with that high end, everything's coming to life, but now it seems like the vocal's going to need some de-essing, obviously. But I feel like the balances are there, so you're mixing everything the way that we want to hear it volume-wise, and there's some great stuff going on with the with panning and all of those kind of good things. But the overall sound is just darker. So the good news is that sometimes things get super, super bright when people are mixing with bright speakers and bright headphones. Yep, believe it or not, because their ears turn down quickly. So they go into a room, they crank it, and they get used to the brightness, and then their ears start turning down 3 to 5K and above, and then before you know it, the mixers are too bright. So the good news is that your balances are really, really good, and that it just seems like an overall, whatever you're cutting in the mids and the high end in particular, the high highs, just don't cut as much. If you're doing some stuff on the master bus that's aggressively cutting it, undo it. Just start backing everything off and bring it back to life. And then what I would do is go in and de-ess the vocal more, because maybe another thing is maybe the vocal needed some more de-essing, so you darkened it. I think in general it's, what you're saying is it's your headphones that are probably, you know, causing that problem for you. So, but otherwise the balances are all really good. I think everybody was enjoying that mix, but we were all hearing it sounding a little dark, and everybody was individually commenting on an instrument being brighter, and this could be brighter and that could be brighter, meaning the whole thing needed a kind of a bit of an oomph. But Andy, great work, really good ears. You've got it really, really flat, and you've probably mixed really well to the headphones you've got. So we just need to improve that environment. As Peter's suggesting, you could try SonarWorks on your headphones. That's relatively inexpensive way of going on the headphones. I think it's like $99 or something for their one. Do we still have the SonarWorks discount? They've been an interesting company to deal with, put it that way. So hopefully they honour the discount that we had. That would be really, really good. Yeah, I do like the Blue Lolas. I really do. Do I think that they're hi-fi headphones? No. But are they enjoyable and comfortable? Yes. So it's, you know, it's the devil you know. You know what I mean? I know these well, so I can work on them. Great work, nonetheless. Really good balances. And like anything, the reason why we do this is to find out these issues, these possible issues. Who's up next, Eric? Mervyn. But no, Day Drunk in Reno, but no... there's no discussion there, but Mervyn's here, so that's great. So make sure I didn't close that down by mistake. Nope. Still exists. Okay. So Mervyn's up next. Here we go with Day Drunk in Reno. Bit of country.
I'm dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to let it all go. 'Cause the queen of my heart left in the dealer's arms. And I'm dead drunk in Reno. I'm dead drunk in Reno. You always love a game when you're winning, but you never get enough if your heart's not in it. Some things you let it ride, and she was no different. Oh, she burned like whiskey on my lips, and I can still taste the sweetness of that kiss. It's a fire I'll always miss, 'cause she's gone. And I'm dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to let it all go, 'cause the queen of my heart left in the dealer's arms. And I'm dead drunk in Reno. I'm dead drunk in Reno. Yeah. Well, love is a game that I always lose. She was holding trip threes, I had a pair of twos. I always play it too close to the chest, and she was no different. Well, no matter how you spin it, the house is always winning. Dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to let it all go, 'cause the queen of my heart left in the dealer's arms. And I'm dead drunk in Reno. Yeah, I'm dead drunk in Reno. Yes, I am. Dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to let it all go. I'm dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to let it all go, 'cause the queen of my heart left in the dealer's arms. And I'm dead drunk in Reno. I'm dead drunk in Reno. Dead drunk in Reno. I'm dead drunk, dead drunk. Dead drunk in Reno.
Let's have a quick listen.
Well, no matter how you spin it, the house is always winning. Dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to let it all go, 'cause the queen of my heart left in the dealer's arms. And I'm dead drunk in Reno. Yeah, I'm dead drunk in Reno. Yes, I am. Dead drunk in Reno. I'm trying to live.
It's really cool. I really like it. So you see how bright and alive this is? Really, really good. Really fantastic. Bravo. Mervyn, I'm very, very happy. Very happy with it at all. So did, oh, there you go. Eric's put up the multi-track for everybody. I really like this. I'm really enjoying it. It's interesting, you hear the brightness and the overall air. When you go back to the previous mix, you can see what we're sort of missing. I think I like this a lot because it has a little bit of a reverence that these guys have. If you watch the whole course, there's a full course on the recording, the mix, and everything. And the way that these guys work is they're using like an old Yamaha console. Nothing flash. They are in like an old house that's converted to a studio. They do a lot of film and TV music, and they're just really, really good people. So I highly, highly recommend, if you haven't done this, I mean, this is good, should be good for Andy. Andy, I think this will be a great course, and it's a course you can take. Is it in the courses section, Eric?
Yeah, that link I posted takes you to the page.
The link he posted takes you to the page. So check it out. Mervyn, I don't really have anything to say to this. I think I like, sometimes it feels like it's an automation issue. Like minor, I feel like I want to encourage you to go back and just tuck things in here and there. Sometimes the acoustic is like on top level-wise and then just perfect, like subtle. Like just get in there and do some sculpting with automation and I think you'll be in an amazing situation. So I'm getting texted from Garth Richards. I'm Garth Richardson. Excellent. Garth, I'm about to do a Skype call and video with Garth. Excellent. All right, next up. Great work, Mervyn. Mervyn, just go in there and give me some volume automation. That would be amazing. And whenever I put my phone down, it starts like doing an instant voice to text. So Garth just got a voice message of everything we just said. It was a free course. It is a free course. Isn't it free inside of the academy?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not sure what Tom's asking. It is a free course. Yeah. I mean, it was a paid course, but we gave it away to free for to members. So I'm not sure what you mean, ... It is a free course. It's a course that was a paid course in ProMix Academy, and we gave away to Produce Like a Pro Academy members as a free gift. Okay, marvellous. Here we go. Henning is up next. Henning says, here's my take on this Little Empire song, Bullets. Special thanks to Cranky Emio, aka Stuart, and Magnus for helping out a lot. Still, every feedback is greatly appreciated. See you guys around, and thank you so much. Here we go.
I've been hit first, felt the bullets, pulled the trigger. I'm not a killer. I've been caught by your lovesick drive-by. You knocked me out and I can barely breathe. Hit so hard my heart skips a beat. All I need is a little release. Don't open my eyes. The battle is done, and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes. Take my own hurt and save my life while I can. Don't open my eyes. Yeah. Take back your bullets and your bullshit. Your stupid music, your guitar. I don't want it. You did me so wrong. I wrote a fake song. Ready, aim, fire. Don't open my eyes. The battle is done, and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes. I'll take my own hurt and save my life while I can. Don't open my eyes. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to have a quick listen to another section.
Open my eyes, the battle is done, and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes.
I mean, it's a really, really great mix. The two things for me, and I think people are pointing to one of them, is definitely you can hear the compression coming in here.
Open my eyes, the battle.
And as the compressor works, so like there's an initial hit.
Don't open my eyes, the battle is done, and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes.
I mean, I like the snap on the kick, but I'm basically the two things that I'm talking about is like overall I can feel the sort of compression like pulling in just a little bit too much master bus wise, or it could be bussing up until the master bus. That's the first thing, but also I believe that I like the clickiness of the kick. A couple of people have said they like the kick, but I'm not hearing the super lows on the kick. And the bass guitar is fantastic, but it's covering the low end on the kick drum. So just take that high passing on the bass, just get a little bit more aggressive with it. So it's 6, try 12. And then the kick, I need some more like 40 down there, 40 to 60. As you find, if I pull up 60, it does the job. We talk about this a lot, pulling up the 60 on the kick. It brings up the 40 as well, which is lovely. But also it can tend to exaggerate 80 and 100 a bit too much. You know, so if you're going to pull up the 60 on the kick, you can high pass at about 20, but make sure you maybe notch out a little bit of 80, a little bit of 100 so it doesn't kill the bass. But the bass needs a little bit more of an aggressive high pass. Otherwise, really good. I mean, that's the main thing. Overall bus compression, but again, it could be bussing up to the master bus, but overall bus compression needs to come down a little bit to open up a little bit because the chorus comes in and it sort of squashes in. And people are saying is there some kind of widening effect. I'm not sure if there's a widening effect specifically. I think the only way to probably try it would be to do this. Give me a second. Where's the? So I'm going for a trim. I've now put it into. I've now panned it into the center.
Don't open my eyes, the battle is done, and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes.
Yeah, the widening effect, there is a widening effect on the guitars because in mono the guitars disappear.
Don't open my eyes, the battle is done, and I think.
Now we can go out and we can flip one side out of phase.
Don't open my own hands, save my life while I can. Don't know. Cause you left.
I mean, it's a great mix, but more low lows on the kick, little less bus compression leading up to it, and the overall bus itself. I don't think it's only on the bus. I think it's up to leading up to it, and give me some more low lows on the kick. Sorry, as I was saying, you know, I'd boost the 60 to bring up the 40 with it, but maybe duck a little bit, 80 and 100, and then tighten up the low end on the bass guitar, and I think it'll really come to life. Great work, though. Great work. Last but no means least. So thank you, Henning. But last but no means least is Scott Sibley. See if we have. Here you go. Hey folks, quick first try with this great tune. Nothing added instrumentation-wise, just a mix. Feedback always welcome. Thanks for listening. All right, last but not least, Mr. Scott Sibley. Great name.
Tattoos and scraped knees. I'm lost
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, that's a really, really exciting mix. It's a really, really exciting mix. I absolutely love it. It just gets a little fatiguing because it, by the time it here happens at the end, there is such a battle for high mids. Have a listen to everything going on. So I think what I want to happen is you got that bam 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 bam, and then you got the ring ging 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 guitar. I need that ring 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 to just darken a little bit, just a little tiny less high mids on it because I don't know where to take it. I love the energy of that guitar, but I want to hear bam 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 bam, or you can shave off the high end of that and then bring that up. But between the two of them, they're both in the same EQ point, and my head's like dotting around and I don't know where I'm listening for, and sometimes that's a great experience, but it's just a little bit painful in that high mid area. Have another listen just so you can understand what I mean. I mean, it's a really fantastic mix. It's definitely on the verge. There's a lot of stuff going on. But with that right on the verge feel that you've got, I've got to compliment you. It makes it very, very exciting. I mean, this is an exciting mix. You know, right at the get-go, you hear this massive snare sound.
Tattoos and scraped knees. I'm lost in a dream. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town.
Same thing there. I mean, it just gets crowded. I mean, it's interesting because it's a really good mix. It's super exciting. It smash you out of the head over the head, come out of the gate like huge. It just needs a little bit of detail work in those high mids. Otherwise, it's freaking awesome. I love how exciting it is. I do think in the verses, particularly the first verse, it could come down a little bit. So that that section there in the first verse could just be a little bit more open so that when the chorus does come in, it even smashes it over the head a little bit more. So I think a bit more dynamics, you know, automation in there would really, really help. Wonderful, wonderful work. Great work. What a high to end up on. A really, really massively exciting mix from Scott. What a great week. Thank you, everybody, for all the incredible work. We're going to jump off now and do a Skype interview with Mr. Garth Richardson. Check him out. He did Rage Against the Machine's first record. It's going to be really, really good. Have a marvellous time recording and mixing, and thank you ever so much. Wow. Really, really appreciate it. Just great, great work. And don't forget, please send in your mixes. Please send in any mix breakdowns you've got. We would love to hear it. We love the input. Multi-tracks from songs that you've produced you want to share with people with mix breakdowns would be amazing. If you can't do a mix breakdown, I understand. If you don't feel up to doing it, I totally understand. But we love having the multi-tracks. And if you are going to send in your own songs, please give us like a genre, a tempo, name of the song, of course, the artist, of course, and, you know, key and any information. It's always wonderful. Plugins used, you know, or no plugins used, tape, whatever it might be. We love all that stuff. Thank you for being so incredible and helping each other out. It's huge. And have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Speak to you all again very, very soon. See you next week.